Hello, my name is Joshua Weatherman. To my left here is my father, Billy Weatherman. We are Short Track Report, and welcome to the Traction Control Podcast powered by Short Track Report, where we try to get a grip on the short track racing nation. And hey, let's not waste any time here. Let's just go ahead and jump into some race results from this past weekend. Hickory Motor Speedway ran United Sewing Night. In the late model stocks, Tyler Matthews picked up the victory, extending his series points lead. In the Paramount Auto Group Limited late models, Graham Holler was the winner. In the Heritage Finance Street Stock Division, Marshall Sutton was the winner after Cody DeMarmos was found illegal. And in the Super Truck Division, it was rained out 10 laps in, so not sure how they're going to score that, but at the time of the caution, Charlie Watson was your leader. At Lonesome Pine Motorsports Park, we had Family Fun Night presented by Larry Johnson State Farm. In the Oak Quinn Trailer Sportsman Race number 1, Kyle Barnes was the winner after Jacob Porter was disqualified.
Wait, that's 2 DQs already?
Well, we're getting into that part of the season where guys are going to try anything they can to get an advantage in the points and somehow wind up in victory lane. It's crunch time. So, in the Oak Quinn Trailer Sportsman Race number 2, Kyle Barnes would sweep the night, as that event was also rained out 20 laps in, but since it was a 40-lap event, they got halfway. They will count that as an official victory. In the Herds Towing Street Stock Division, Alan Rich was the winner. In the Super Streets, Tristan Barnes was the winner. In Pure Force, John Ketron was the winner. And the Mod 4 race was unfortunately not held due to said rain. At Tri-County Speedway, we had a normal weekly night. In late model stocks, Thomas Bean picked up the win. In limited late models, Darren Krantz Jr. would pick up his first victory for Lee Falk Racing and Development. Great to see that young man get a victory so quick. I think big things are in store for him.
Well, Lee Falk is good at mentoring these guys and getting them where they need to win, but watching him do it, the driver has to execute, and he sure did.
Well, especially in that division. We know that division will be a tough division to win in. In the Outlaws, last year's champion Martin Nesbitt got it done. In the Street Stock Division, defending champion Davey Smart would get it done. In the Renegades, Dalton Ledbetter would take home the win. In the last-minute Pro 4 race, Robbie Trevette won that one. In the front-wheel drives, let me tell you, have you heard this one before? James Powell wins the front-wheel drive feature.
That's a shocker.
That's a shocker right there. Now, this is an actual shocker right here. In the Black Automotive Group Vintage race, Bob Hateman actually unseated Eddie Gilbert for that win, so that is pretty surprising to hear there, if I say so myself. At New River All-American Speedway, we had the Angry Ginger Irish Pub 207. In the Bomber class, Eddie Humphrey took home the victory. In Champ Karts, Josh Eubanks took home the win. U-Cars, Curtis Lanier would take home the big victory. And the very next day at Carter County Speedway, we have the Schools Out 250. In the Bandoleros, Emma Britt took home the victory. Bomber race number 1, Bob Snow was the lucky winner. And Bomber race number 2, Bob Snow again was the winner after Andrew Jackson was disqualified.
That's like a running theme this
That
week.
time of the year, man. And the Legend Division, Brent Irving would take home the win. And in the U-Cars, Curtis Lanier would take home the Coastal Sweep. Also, on both nights was the Carolina Crate Modified Series and the Carolina Pro Late Model Series. Jack Baldwin would sweep the Crate Modified wins. And then the Carolina Pro Late Models, George Phillips would sweep both of those races. So, courtesy of our friends at Pit Road TV, let's take a look at the end of each of those races.
1 lap to go. George Phillips has been flawless this entire race, Terry. He put that thing to the lead early once he got around everybody from the invert and the redraw, and it has been all 6-car ever since then.
Ever since then, took it on, but turn 3 and 4. George Phillips went 3 to go. Lauder saved his tires. Lauder did everything that he could do. Holds this lead. Going to come to 2 to go here. Unless the caution comes out, not too sure Baldwin's going to be there. He's got a little bit of a gap to get there.
Lauder slows entering turn 1. There's a problem with the 63. It's never over till it's over. Josh Lauder problems in turn 1 with less than 2 laps to go. Mercy me, Jack Baldwin was just handed a gift, Terry, and that gift includes a white flag here at New River All-American.
Baldwin takes that race lead again, and we got it there. The 7NY holds it. That is Jack Baldwin coming to turns 3 and 4, win number 1 in start number 1 of the season, and it's a Baldwin and Baldwin show, 1-2. He comes to see the white flag for the second night in a row. George Phillips looking to go back-to-back from New River All-American Speedway all the way to Carteret County Speedway, down the back straightaway for the final time through turns 3 and 4. Open up your checkbooks and give the man $2,000 in the lucky fan for $100 as George Phillips takes the win at Carteret County Speedway. The 3 laps to go when they cross the line this time. Going to see Jack Baldwin take it here. Can he hold on for 2 more laps to get this win, to go 3 in a row? It'll be 2 laps to go when they come across the line this time by the same way they finished last night, barring Norman and Louder. Louder was a little further on back, but there we are. 2 laps to go from the flagman. This has been a smoke show here for the 7NY.
Certainly has. Not quite the dominating run we saw on the U car, but it's been a show for Jack Baldwin for sure. He'll get the white flag. We're on the last lap.
Coming out of turns 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway for the final time here. Say hello to 3 in a row. Say hello to Jack Baldwin, who comes through turns 3 and 4. He wins.
At Florence Motor Speedway, we had hot summer nights in the late model stocks.
And man, does it get hot down there.
It gets hot. Dillon, Florence, anywhere in South Carolina, you feel like you're going to melt.
But you know, really, if you pay attention, that just makes it harder on the drivers to concentrate.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it makes the wins a little bit bigger.
And makes the racing better. I mean, slip and slide and all over the place. It really shows who, is the better driver.
Yeah, all those tracks down there are tough.
In the late model stocks, Matt Cox would take the big victory. In the Williamsburg feed and tack Chargers, Averett Lucas would take home the win. In the super trucks, Cody Kelly was the lucky winner. In the mini stocks, Matt Briggs would take home the trophy. In the legend division, Sam Brochu was the winner. In the Bandoleros, Bryson Brinkley was the lucky winner. And in the street stocks, Ricky Locklear took the checkered flag there. At Caraway Speedway, we had Sam Ard Recognition and Fan Appreciation Night. In the Allison Legacy Race Series, Ethan Elder would take home the checkered flag. In the Bandoleros, Jay Hemingway would come home the victor. In the Challengers, Alan Vance took home the win. Late model stocks, Jason York was the winner. In the Legend Division, Neil Doolin was the winner. Mini stocks, Robert Strimska was the lucky winner there. That's not a very familiar thing to hear at all either, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't hardly win races.
Yeah, it's a shocker, I tell you. And in the U-Cars, Ron Mock would take home the win. And speaking of shockers, we also had twin Grand National Super Series races. In race number 1, Jake Christman would take home the win. But despite, a new winner in the series, I don't think that's what it's going to be remembered for, because apparently the pace car crashed out during that race.
Yeah, I think he was, you couldn't see it, on the feed really well, but you could hear it.
You hear it.
But it seemed like he was trying to, it was almost like he was racing, but, trying to get in front of the field under the caution and
we all have those moments. Where we just
it's, if you go to the race and you're looking for, I wonder what craziness is going to happen tonight, I don't think what pops in your brain is watching the pace car crash into the wall.
We've seen it all. We have seen it absolutely all. And the second twin race in the Grand National Super Series, Jeremy Mayfield took home the win. He is on a roll in the Grand National Series.
Man, that's good to see, too.
It's really good to see. I'm so glad to see him racing again, especially in our region where we can just cover him like a normal local short tracker, It's awesome to see him around. At Dominion Raceway, we had Mary Washington Healthcare Night, and the Virginia Racers race number 1, Alex Brock took home the victory. In Virginia Racer race number 2, Alex Brock would sweep the night. In the Virginia Mini Cups, Tyler Warner would win. That's back-to-back wins for him as he won last week at Orange County Speedway, or 2 weeks ago. Rain messes everything up.
Yeah.
In the U-Car race number 1, Chris Kurtz was the winner. U-Car race number 2, Michael Frazier took home the checkered flag. In the Virginia Modified, Shannon Morano took home the win, and in the normal Modifieds, Kayla Searles would take home the win. In the 4 and 6 cylinder IndyCar class, John Andrews took home the lucky victory, and in the 8 cylinder IndyCars, Richard Storm would take home the win there. Now we get into some big races here. At Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, we had the Cars Tour Late Model Stock Visit Hampton.com 125, but they also had some local divisions racing that night as well. In the Cycle City Core Bandoleros, Brian Runstrom Jr. would take home the win. Cycle City Core Legends, Charlie Beals was the winner. Old School Video Game Super Streets, love that division. Landon Abbott was the winner. And the Farley Financial U-Cars, Christian Keller was the winner. And then on to the main event in the Cars Tour Late Model Stock Visit Hampton.com 125. Connor Hall would take home the hometown victory.
You know, after Butterbean Queen wins, and now Connor Hall wins, as much as everybody said that Quappa was dominated, and man, he has really looked good this year, the points are still very tight.
It's going to be...
Anything can happen going forward.
Anything can happen. Caden Honeycutt is very fast, too. You never know when he might finally break out and might go on a winning streak. We don't know what can happen there. I mean, you're right. The points are absolutely heating up. It is going to be a heck of a battle, and I feel the fans and us, we're in for a really big treat. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward. Of course, I always look forward to, seeing them guys race, but it's amazing, watching them guys race. But, I mean, this is a really tight points battle. If it stays the way it is, it's going to come down to the last few races.
Oh, yeah. I am very, very excited to see where this goes. 3 of the best in late model stocks.
3 of the very best.
It's in the tour where every single race, 20 guys can take home the win at any given track. So
it makes it hard when we try to determine, like, when we're picking winners.
Yeah, because you never.
Because I mean, it's a long list.
It's a long list, and then you have guys like Matt Waltz and Cole Bruce who were in this weekend's race at Langley that are track regulars that come in and try to spoil the party.
Yeah.
They're very good too. So you never know who and what you might see in a car store event. And that's why we love them so much. At Franklin County Speedway, we had the Calvin Brooks Memorial. Renegade sportsman Jimmy Mullins took home the victory, and the mini stocks Daniel Hudson wins. And stock 4 race number 1, Wes Gibbons is the winner. Stock 4 race number 2, Jaden Austin took home the win. In the rookie 4 feature, Jacob Hollingsworth wins. In the Beards and Shears Divas, Heather Fackler would win that race. In the stock 6 division, Wes Gibbons was your winner. Wes Gibbons again is just on a roll over there at Franklin County Speedway.
He's an exciting driver to watch.
He is very, very exciting. A blue collar winner in the past as well. So, his work does not go unnoticed. In the bootlegger division, Timmy Meadows would win that one. In the legend division, James Folds would take home the win. And they also had the Super Cup Stock Car Series visit the track, kind of the same thing as the Grand National Super Series. Ben Ebeling would sweep the night, races 1 and race 2. So very good to see Ben Ebeling win. Always a great event to have the Calvin Brooks Memorial. Love that event.
Yep.
Brooks was the definition of a blue-collar racer, so very cool to see Franklin County honoring his legacy like that. Now we get into some Pit Bro TV exclusive series. In the SRL Sportsman Series at Auburndale, Daniel Webster would take home the win in race number 1. And in race number 2, James Seawright would take home his first career win. Let's see how things panned out there exclusively on Pit Row TV.
Green, white, checker finish. Green flag is out. Webster and Sozio. And Chase Lovelady into the outside wall as they came by the start-finish line. That's going to stack up the top 5. Seawright's going to move up into 5th. Here they come out of turn number 4. White flag in the air.
Give the advantage to Webster out front on the inside. Suzio trying to fight back. Open the door for Gill, possibly for second.
Daniel Webster out in front looking for win number 2 on the season, and he's going to get it here at Auburndale.
3 laps to go. Morris inside, Briggs outside. Briggs powering, throttling down the outside, down the backstretch.
2 laps to go for the 8 of James Seawright, looking for his first SRL Sportsman win. Steve Gill, meanwhile, moves back up into the top 5. 3 wide. Jason Vale stuck on the outside. Vale may have thought he had a tire going down, but he's just stuck on the outside. White flag is in the air for James Seawright. The young driver here out of Winter Haven, Florida, out in front. No pressure from behind. Here he comes out of turn number 4. James Seawright scores his first SRL Sportsman win.
That wasn't the only action we saw on Pit Road TV this week. We had 2 big super late model races recently. The Tundra Super Late Models had their season opener at Wisconsin International Raceway. Sawyer Efforts would win his very first race, and he's not even a tour guy. He's a track regular,
Well,
just like we were talking about.
Yeah, it just goes to show those guys know their tracks, and if they learn to pace themselves right in a tour race, they can use that experience to their advantage. And man, did he ever do that!
And also happening was the Trickle 99 at Golden Sand Speedway, a big race to honor the legacy of possibly the greatest short track racer of all time, Dick Trickle. It came down to a few laps to go, bump and run. John Beal would win the race over Gabe Summers. Let's take a look back at both of those races, brought to you by Pit Road TV.
3 to go. Can Efforts hold him off? Can Maxwell do something late in the race? Back to green. Maxwell looking for a little bit of late race magic in that 47, and he might take second away. Here comes Maxwell Schultz down to the inside. Zier wanted to shut the door. Maxwell says no. He's going to take second, and he might bring the Prockstar too. Zier drifting up. Here comes Heinrich trying to get back into the top 3. Zier stuck on that outside line. The 119 fading a little bit late in this one. Now Storm trying to make a move. Zier just trying to hold on. White flags out. 1 to go for Sawyer Efforts. Since 2014, it's been Tundra Super Late Model Series regulars that have taken the checkered flag. Today, that streak ends. A WIR regular is taking the trophy home. Sawyer Efforts with the win.
With your fan, you're liking it and you're not liking it. Gabe gonna play it pretty decent as Beal gets to the bumper.
4 laps to go. Will Beal use it?
Gabe's got to protect the bottom if he wants this one.
Has he got the speed to make that separation happen again?
All over the bumper like a cheap suit.
3 to go.
Lap traffic changed this one. On the bumper again, Beal. Summers says, I don't think so, pal. Contact! John Beal giving the chrome horn. Are you kidding me? Wow. White flag out to Beal. Summers in that second spot. Here comes Fredrickson. Contact with Travis Volm.
Look at Jeremy Leadback jumping into this.
John Beal going to win over Gabe Summers. Who's going to be for third? Will it be Volm? Volm sideways for third.
Coming up, Josh and Billy talk about this season's aggressive driving. And give an update on an absolutely amazing night at South Boston Speedway that you will not want to miss. But first, it's time to talk to this episode's amazing special guest Boo Carlisle and Stacy Puryear. Stay tuned for 2 conversations you'll definitely want to hear. Boo Carlisle is becoming known throughout the short track racing world, not only because of his street stock racing itself, but for the video blog that documents his endeavors on the Kick and Asphalt podcast and his obvious love of the sport of stock car racing, making him a huge advocate that the blue-collar fan can definitely relate to. Racers like Boo are what makes the sport special on the grassroots level. Now also being utilized by the Cars Tour for his video personality and connections to short track fans all over the nation, he is also expanding to be a part of the new GXS Street Stock Series, taking even further steps in contributing to the sport of short track racing. Please welcome, the one and only, Mr. Boo Carlisle.
So first question, what made you want to start racing, and do you even remember your first ever start?
Yes. I was always a fan. As long as I can remember growing up, a short track fan. Never went to a NASCAR race until I was in my 20s. I mean, I never graced a NASCAR track at Landmower Speedway. I remember walking in and thinking, "Oh my gosh, this place is huge." So I was always a short track racing fan, and never knew how to get into it. Social media wasn't a thing back then. You literally just bought the cheapest car you could find, knocked the windows out, put a roll cage in, and went. And I do remember my first race because I thought I was going to be competitive, but boy, was I wrong. It was a 15-lap race, and I think I finished 13 laps of it at Lanier Speedway. But I had more fun back then than looking now than I've ever had.
And what gave you the idea of starting to film your adventures both on and off the track for what has now become Kicking Asphalt?
The origin of it was, at the time, I was talking about having kids, and I wanted my kids to be able to see my dad, Fred, be their grandpa. I wanted to be able to see video, not pictures, and that was the whole reason I started it, was so I could have memories 10, 15 years down the road. And it evolved into something way bigger than I ever thought it would evolve to.
Well, I mean, did you ever think that you would be able to work now with the Cars Tour? And how did that deal come about in the first place?
To answer your first question, no, absolutely not. I never thought it would be anything bigger than a support division video that my friends and local, family watched. But how it came about was, I worked with a few drivers last year. As the channel grew, I knew that I needed to pump more content out. So I worked with more drivers last year and, made friends with Keely Dubinsky. And I think it was last summer she came to, like, hey, I got an idea, for next year. And it just, it led into it. And the idea come up with the Tour and 12 drivers, give each Tour and 12 driver their own, Kicking Asphalt style vlog. And then, do the other 4 big races. That's what it started out as. But now, as we've got into it, it's progressed and done so well. And it's very well received. The 3 standalone pro races, I'm going to do those as well. So, to answer your first question again, no, I never ever thought it would have, got this big or got this much attention or anything like that. It started out with, with nothing of trying to get big. It was just more so of like a family recording day out or something, like an old VHS camcorder going to the amusement park. I just wanted to be able to have memories more so than just pictures. I wanted to be able to have, video to show my one-day kids.
And how different has it been going from, just filming your street stock races every week to now working with such a professional organization such as the Cars Tour?
Hey, man, at the end of the day, those guys are just local short track racers too. I thought that it would be a little bit different, and it is. They're very professional. They are high class professional, but at the same time, man, they're, like I said, they're just short track racers too. They just got bigger trailers.
We know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a fan of the Kickin' Asphalt vlog. Has it really set in yet that now you technically work for him, along with drivers such as Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, and Justin Marks?
I try not to think about stuff like that, just because I never, not want to be my humble self. It is cool when you say it like that, but, when I found out Dale watched the Kicking Asphalt stuff, it was cool. Him coming up to Hickory and wanting a picture with me and Fred, that was, I guess you could say, a live highlight, so to speak. But, as I talk to him more and we have conversations more often, again, man, he's just a guy that really likes to drink beer and loves short track racing. So, we basically kind of the same person.
And tell me about the newly formed GXS Street Stock Series that you guys have been planning on this year.
Man, I've been told multiple times that I've helped street stock racing. I've been told multiple times that I've ruined street stock racing. The price of street stocks have gone through the roof. That being the side of the YouTube has ruined street stock racing that the people, make allegations at me towards. But, it's really brought to life the blue collar working class, the older fans this is what the Cup Series was at one point as far as the bodies looked like, and the ASA late models of years ago and all pro, and so that's just like we're banking off the popularity of it, and Ron Barfield had a great series with the Mid Atlantic Street Stocks, and I ran some of those races, and we just wanted to, he started to scale back a little bit, and we just wanted to start hitting some of the tracks that he hadn't hit. This all formed at PRI back in December. We went to a fancy steakhouse, and I sat down to eat a steak. I didn't have a clue what was about to be presented to me. And, as Penn started getting the paper, and then, Keely and Jack stepped up and said, hey, we want to do the street stock race. It just kind of fit perfect. And I mean, when I started the year, I thought I was just going to be doing YouTube. I didn't know I was going to be a half, I guess you'd call it, series promoter. So, it's just another feather to put in my cap at the end of the day when the checker flag falls on my racing careers.
Well, speaking of that big race at Tri-County, why don't you talk a little more about that and what you're anticipating for this big $2,000 race coming up at Tri-County?
Man, it's the biggest stage that I can personally think of that street stock racing has been in the country. I mean, the flow racing coverage will be great. It's not going to be just one camera angle like some Saturday night short tracks. There's nothing wrong with the one camera angle. They do a phenomenal job, but we're going to get a car store presentation style for street stock racing. Not to mention, we got guys coming from all over, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, obviously me from Georgia. Like all the heavy hitters are coming that you would see at the Street Stock Nationals at Dillon in January, plus more, so it's a real exciting time at what my personal favorite track at Tri-County, because they are multiple groups. I really hope this don't turn into, one of the crash bang 'em up events. So, we're looking to get off to a first good event, put our best foot forward and show people that, street stock racing can be took serious. For so many years, I felt like it was looked down upon, like it was just a bunch of rednecks out there, in their backyard, didn't even have a garage under the shade tree. When it rained, they couldn't work on their race cars, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. So, I really hope that bringing light to it and actually having a traveling series, where we will go from state to state. I think it's time for, street stock racing to get the limelight that they deserve.
What do you feel about the current state of short track racing, and what would you say to those that say it's not like what it used to be?
It's a good question, man. I feel like it's better. I mean, obviously, we're never going to return to the 80s and 90s. Hell, gas prices ain't never going to return to the 80s or 90s. Social media has helped things and it's ruined things, in my personal opinion. So I think it's stronger than it's been in many years. I don't want to use the word decades because, there's somebody out there that dispute, every single thing. Why is the sky blue? But I think it's stronger now than it's ever been across the board. I mean, car counts, the tracks I go to, let me say it like that, the tracks that I attend, and I attend a good many of them, they're double digits. When I started, it was good to get 7 or 8. I went over to Florence a couple weeks ago, double-digit car counts and street stocks and late models. Tri-County, Saturday night, 17 limited, 16 late model stocks, 14 street stocks. I mean, like it's not just these touring series. I know everybody's big-eyed with the entry list at North Wilkesboro, which is an exciting, great thing coming up, but it's trickling down into everything. It seems like the cost of living went up, but it almost like it didn't affect the short track world as much. And I understand in some areas, they're getting 6 or 7 cars, but here's my thing. When times was good, they wouldn't get 6 or 7 cars. So I think it's better now than it's ever been, in my personal opinion, in many years.
And of course, I have to ask you, favorite moment at the racetrack while filming a Kickin' Asphalt vlog?
Oh man, nothing really sticks out right off top. When you answer the question, I guess basically anytime Fred loses his cool. For so long, I was I was afraid to post anything like that, and finally one day I was just like, you know what, man, he's pissed me off, so I'm gonna post this, and it was kind of off to the races. Now he's more popular at the racetrack than I am, and I am completely okay with that. I would rather my guys get more attention than me. So there's no big deal on that. But yeah, just as far as favorite part, man, that's got to be sometime. Fred's losing his cool over something so minuscule. So yeah, that's it.
Well, Abu, we'd like to give you this time now to thank anybody you'd like to thank, any sponsors you want to thank.
Yeah, man. It definitely it takes a lot of help to get up and down the road, especially as far as we travel. I mean, first off, hey, my parents, man, they're A1 since day one. It don't matter if we're going 1 hour up the road to Anderson Speedway or 7 hours up the road to Lonesome Pine in Virginia, or wherever I want to go. Hell, they're right there behind me every single time in my mama's car. So behind the truck and trailer, they don't even question it. They say, hey, what time we're leaving? But as far as partner help, Dylan Meredith with Meredith Battery, Volt Battery. What we do, that's my day job. That's what puts food on the table and then tires on the race car. So, if you're looking for a battery and you're in the upstate South Carolina area or North Carolina, Virginia, anywhere we race, I can bring you a battery. We got batteries from golf carts to race car batteries. So, or your personal car battery, just hook Racing America up for their truck that pulls the trailer to the racetrack. So we got all kinds of batteries. Second GXS wraps, man, they keep us looking good. Stephen Dunn does a phenomenal job as far as the marketing side, putting me out to people, trying to, look for potential sponsors, represents me very well. And not to mention the GXS wrap side of it, keeps the car fluorescent orange. It's always looking good. It's very noticeable. That's a big thing in today's world, when you try to find different marketing partners to keep the B00 going around. So, and Live Oak Plantation. A lot of people know about Gresham Motorsports Park. That is a company that Jim Gresham owns in South Georgia. It's a 2,500-acre hunt plantation. He's been a big supporter of mine since Gresham Motorsports Park closed down. So, like I said, without those guys, man, it's tough. It's still tough, but without them, it don't happen. So, big thank you to all those guys.
Well, Boo, we thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. You touched on it earlier. I don't think you really truly realize how much you've helped street stock racing over the past, couple of years. You've brought the Cars Tour to the eyes of a bunch of people, local short track racing in general to the eyes of a bunch of people. So we genuinely thank you for that, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely, fellas, man. That's what it's all about. We in this together. Ain't nobody bigger than nobody else in this sport. If we all pull the chain in the same direction, maybe we can get more people involved and more people in the grandstands. That's what it's about at the end of the day for me. Anyway, I just want to see short track racing survive.
Our next guest is one of the most recognizable veterans in the Central East Coast short track racing region. He is a Martinsville Speedway late model stock pole winner, former Pro Cup winner, and an Orange County Speedway champion. He's a seasoned veteran with over at least 33 years of short track racing experience, and he is the owner of Puryear Racing Parts. Please welcome Mr. Stacy Puryear.
All right, so just to get started, how did you get started in this crazy world of racing?
Well, going all the way back to when I was just a teenager, I used to sell racing programs at South Boston Speedway and used to wash the pace car. And Joe Chandler from South Boston Speedway and myself used to go up to Southside in Richmond. And Joe was a promoter for South Boston, and we used to try to talk to the drivers. And I just was tagging along as a young guy, just trying to meet the drivers and get a feel for racing. And my grandfather and my father had always taken me since I was like 5 years old over to South Boston, and Butch Lindley and Ray Hendrick and Sam Ard, and those guys were my heroes when I was growing up.
You have competed at so many tracks over the years, so I have to ask you, do you have one particular track that just connects with you where you feel you can win anytime you head out there?
Well, Orange County Speedway was always my favorite, with the high corner speed, and it just suited my driving style. We always done real well there. It's been a while since we've been over there, and hadn't been able to race there in a while. But, I used to run the Hooters Pro Cup Series. I used to love to go to Winchester, Indiana, and also Bristol was one of my favorites. Sat on the pole 3 times at Lakeland, Florida, USA Speedway down in Lakeland, Florida. Really enjoyed that racetrack. Another flat racetrack up in Indiana, Indianapolis Raceway Park. We raced there a couple of times, and I enjoyed that track as well.
A lot of people within the racing world not only know you from being a competitor, but from Puryear race parts. How did that start out, and how gratifying is it to know that you've served hundreds of fellow drivers with your business?
Well, that's a double-edged sword. We enjoy getting up and being able to go to work and do something you enjoy, involved in racing. A lot of people won't buy from me because I still drive, and you know how secretive a lot of racers are. But we've done the parts on the Cars Tour. We've done the parts for Caraway Speedway for a while. We do the parts at South Boston Speedway. Used to do the parts at Orange County. It's very gratifying. You get to talk to a lot of people. Usually on Mondays, I find out a lot about racing at different racetracks because we're always talking to somebody that's raced and needs something. It's a lot of fun for me.
I'm kind of connected to the last question. Why do you feel short track racing is important to put that much investment into it, both as a driver and a parts provider? Is it just a byproduct of being surrounded by it for so long?
Well, I love it. I'm 52 years old now, and I love it as much as I did when I was 16 years old. The driving, the challenge of making race cars go fast around the corner, just every aspect of it. Probably the thing I'm probably the least good at is finding the sponsorship and things like that, and just being able to talk to the big companies and stuff. But we enjoy the car setup. We set up some cars for other people and keep up some car excuse me. Keep up some cars for Dusty Garris and set up some cars at South Boston as well.
Out of all of the crown jewel and marquee races you've had a pleasure of being a part of in your career, what is the one that you want to win the most?
That would definitely be Martinsville. The Valley Star Credit Union 300. We've sat on a pole. We've led laps there. Have a best finish of third. But that's the race that I really want to win before I hang my helmet up.
Out of all of the years in the sport, craziest moment you have ever seen at a racetrack?
Oh, wow. I've seen a lot, that's kind of putting me on the spot there. I've seen people get disqualified for running big engines, and been caught a red here just the other week. Guy got disqualified for putting on extra tires. You see a little bit of everything. Just I've seen I've seen guys that come from laps down and win races, and it's just nothing really just jumps out at me as oh wow, that was crazy. Going back to the Bristol race for me in the Hooters Pro Cup Series, we were running third and coming to the green white checker to run out of gas, and that was probably my biggest heartbreak in racing, because we did have a shot at winning that race, but that 17 car pileup at South Boston this year for short track, that was pretty big for the July 2nd race. Seeing Dale Earnhardt come back and run at North Wilkesboro, I mean, that stands out. As a major short track race for sure.
As such a respected veteran in the short track world, I have to ask, what is your opinion on the current state of short track racing?
Sponsorship dollars are such a valuable asset to any form of racing. NASCAR late model stock car racing, it needs more big companies, and I think with the influence that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is having, you see Kevin Harvick building a late model stock car and tested the other day at Caraway Speedway. I seen it come in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. The sport just took off. I can see that coming in the late model stock car as well, division as well, and you see it on Facebook all the time, is how people shouldn't bash the short tracks, and that's for sure, because we need every racetrack going that we can. Me as a businessman, every racetrack that shuts down, you usually lose a few cars. The tire situation with the way it's been the last 2 years has been kind of tough. But hopefully, in 2023, everything will get itself turned back around and see some great short track racing. The Snowball Derby was a great race. The big race at Southern National for the late model stock, I thought was a great race. Martinsville is always a great race, and you got the ASA coming back with the super late models. Looks good for 2023. You're just glad to see short track racing taking off like it is again.
Speaking of 2023, what does 2023 hold for you?
Well, first and foremost, we're going to keep up Dusty Garris' stuff from South Carolina again. We're going to keep up he's going to run for a limited championship at South Boston. And he also competes in the Southeast Super Truck Series with a late model truck. Is going to run the Icebreaker in Florence. As for me, it always depends on how things are going in the shop and the sponsorship dollars that we can find. I would love to say, hey, I'm going to go out and run for a championship at South Boston, or hey, run for the national championship. But right now, we just don't have the money to do that. We have the equipment to do it. We need, another full-time person, but that's something that I definitely like to do, but also before I hang my helmet up and we're going to race, but we just don't know how much just yet. And it'll be the late model stock series.
To end off here, kind of the opposite question that I asked earlier where you answered Martinsville. What is the most memorable win of your career?
I'm going to say we won the big race at Concord back in way back in 1998. It was a 15,000 to win, which was huge for late model stock car racing back then. You had Clay Rogers, Chad Mullis, Ricky Hendricks, Greg Marlowe, Stephen Grimes, Scott Riggs, the best of the best in late model stock car racing back then. And we won that race and dominated it really. That was huge win for us. Love that racetrack. Sorry to see that one go too, but that was my biggest win in late model stock car racing. Another big win that we had was in the Hooters Pro Cup Series up at Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. I won the first ever Northern Series race. I was driving for Black's Tire, same Black's Tire who sponsors David Gilliland and those guys that run in the trucks and the Cup cars now. So that was a big win for us back then too.
And I know you couldn't do this without the help of multiple people, so I'd like to give you this time to thank anybody you'd want to thank.
Well, sponsorship-wise, we got to thank Frank Hicks from Richmond, Virginia, Hicks Rentals, LLC. He also owns a beach house down at Kill Devil Hill, North Carolina, that he rents out Atlantis Oceanfront. Really got to thank Frank for all his support. Chris and Alan Puryear from Richmond, Virginia. They are in with Caldwell Bankers, Vaughn, and got to thank those guys. Infinity Payment Systems out of Wilmington, North Carolina. They are a credit card company that sells machines and does processing, and really got to thank those guys for helping us here in 2022. And got to thank Billy Banks for building us a good engine. Got to thank Forrest Reynolds for building us a good car. We got a pretty much all volunteer crew. Neil Perkins, who used to be crew chief for Philip Morris, when he won 2 of his 4 national championships, Neil works with us. Got to thank him a bunch, and all the guys from the truck team that help us, the late model truck team, JJ Diggers and Scotty Ketchelmeyer and Dusty Garris and JJ's son Austin and Donald Clay and Eugene Lindley, and just thank those guys as well.
Well, Stacy, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck in 2023.
Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate you having me on your show.
The 2023 season has been an aggressive one on the track and has seen for us the most aggressive driving since we started Short Track Report in 2021. With the competition on the nation's short tracks getting more competitive by the day, we don't see that trend abating anytime soon. Let's get back to Josh and Billy as they discuss the matter and end this episode with a look back at our last coverage event at South Boston, featuring everything a fan could want in a short track event.
Speaking on that John Deal incident in the Triple 99 race where, he bumped and run the guy for the win, there was another incident that happened a week ago in the ASA Stars National Tour race at Hickory Motor Speedway that involved young up-and-coming racer Gio Ruggiero and Cup Series winner William Byron. Social media just caught on fire after this incident, but let's hear what Gio Ruggiero had to say about the specific incident. A lot of people thought that move last night against William Byron was just a little over-aggressive, but we here at Short Track Report, we just think that's true short track racing. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I'm sure some of them didn't watch the full race and see, the laps that led up to that and the laps before that, but it was just good, hard racing. I had to do what I had to do to get the win, and we pulled it off. So
what happened? It was last lap. William Byron goes into turn 3, leaves the door open.
Leaves the door open, which is key. He left the door open.
And Gio Ruggiero goes in there knowing that A, there's a win at historic Hickory Moore Speedway on the line. B, it's an ASA Stars National Tour victory, the highest super late model tour in the country right now. And it's being streamed all across the globe. So I don't get what the deal is with this bumping and banging photo finish that has fans upset.
Well, and I want to put a distinction between what we saw with Denny Hamlin and Chase. And also, you know, between some local short track incidents, there's a difference between going for it on the last lap. And Gio is, remember too, he's trying to get a win for his team.
Yeah.
They've worked hard to prepare that car. They've put the work in, and they expect him to go out and get a win. He didn't wreck Byron, which is another key. There's a difference between wrecking a man and going for the win.
Where did Byron finish?
Second.
Exactly. So even Byron himself was a little upset after this, which just makes me believe, has being in the Cup Series kind of desanitized him, or sanitized him, I guess I should say.
Well, it's you hear Cup drivers now all the time, and don't get us wrong. We love the Cup Series.
Yeah.
We love all kinds of stock car racing. That's why we cover Cup racing at the short tracks. It's the premier short track racing.
Yeah.
But this whole "he's racing me too hard" thing, and they'll even explain it. They'll explain it and they'll say, we're running for 17th.
Yeah.
But see, in my era, when I was growing up, David Pearson and Richard Petty and them guys, and Kel Yarborough, the whole slew of them,
all
really.
of them.
They raced you hard.
For every position.
Because they wanted you wore out at the end of the race. They wanted you frazzled at the end of the race. If you would have told them guys, "Oh, you're racing me too hard," they would have laughed. And at the same time, that story that I heard, you probably know what drivers I'm talking about, said that he was racing so hard. And go ahead and name the drivers that was involved.
It was Benny Parsons was the victim, I should say, and David Pearson was the one playing the trick.
Yeah, so Benny Parsons said he was running as hard as he could run, and David Pearson, they were having a heck of a battle, And there was a caution, and it was a red flag, I guess. I'm not sure about that. But either way, he is like, wow, that was some crazy. I am getting wore out. This is so hard.
He's got muck and goo all over his face.
And he pulls up beside David Pearson, who, little did he know, already took his towel and wiped the sweat off and was just sitting there.
Yeah, looking like he hadn't even been in a race.
But when Benny said that when he got there and seen the guy so calm and cool, that it just destroyed him,
Yeah.
And so people have to remember that. And two, there's also a difference between wrecking somebody under caution, as a retaliation.
Yeah.
And should I dare say it? Blindsiding somebody in the spotter stand.
And then pressing charges on them when they defend themselves.
All this is uncalled for, and that's from somebody that we truly respect.
Yeah.
And
we respect all drivers.
You have to keep your cool. Yeah. Where it gets a little bit, what Gio did, nothing wrong with that.
No.
What you've seen in both of them clips, those were guys going for the win.
And it's short track racing.
But now there is a little, we sort of had a little bit of a disagreement, but not too bad. We found out we were pretty much on the same page. And people, yes, we do have some serious disagreements. If you guys only knew.
Oh, in future podcast episodes, we're going to be wanting to punch each other.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're going to disagree.
But Denny Hamlin and Chase, see, that's a different thing altogether.
That's a different ballgame.
There's two different aspects to it, though. Again, in my era, racing hard was one thing, but if you door bang a guy and you're racing him hard, then y'all have a little contact. That's one thing. But when you're bouncing a guy off the wall, clearly, intentionally rough driving him with no respect, which is what Denny did. Now, see, Denny had a point, and then showing the telemetry and all that, of what Chase did, right, hooking somebody, is a no-no.
You didn't even have to show telemetry for that.
And if anybody had any question, they're not. I mean, you're either biased in the whole deal, or you're a little blind.
Well, either one, Brad hooked him into him.
Yeah.
Or two, when you hit the wall in these cars, you just can't help but be right.
You can't help.
If you're
I mean,
left in that case,
you can't control them.
But yeah, there's a total difference in right hooking someone in the dog leg at Charlotte, same area where Blaze Alexander lost his life many years ago. So,
but what do you do when somebody is clearly running you with no respect? I think you had a good solution for it.
You either one, go up there beside them and put them in the wall like they did, or two, just go in the turn, let them ahead of you go in the turn and spin them out. I mean, they're not. NASCAR is put in a position now to where they just view that as hard racing, but a right rear hook is different. Like, take this weekend's incident, for example, Gateway. Austin Cindric hooked Austin Dillon. Now, that's not nearly the same as Denny and Chase.
Yeah, and it didn't show on the telemetry because, Cindric is saying he did nothing wrong. Let's look at it really close.
But again,
what he did is he was at an angle, and he never changed that angle.
Going into the turn,
and Austin didn't. There really wasn't much room he could give him.
It wasn't nearly the same type of impact. But again, like I said, put them in the wall or just wait until the turn to spin them out. Because heck, Cindric did that this weekend, and Elton Sawyer came out and said, just aggressive racing. So they put themselves in a box now to where you can wreck somebody, but you just have to do it the right way.
Well, see, now at the top
you can't
level,
admit to it. Don't admit to it.
Oh, no.
Because don't be stupid.
No.
Don't be Denny.
You're right. But at the same time, you can't let a guy run you with no respect, and you have to find a way to deal with it. But now they put you in a strange position to where you have to really think about how you're going to do it.
Exactly.
Right hooking a guy is not the way.
No.
So we know that already. I mean, that's just, and Chase just, I think if they wouldn't have had the incident at Martinsville, maybe it wouldn't have been,
Who knows? I think it was just, remember, even before he put him in the wall, he hit him out of turn 2 as well. I just think heat of the moment, he just kind of snapped.
Yeah, so now, that comes down to the theme of it, that what we want to get across is aggressive driving is great to see for a fan.
Exactly.
Very aggravating for a driver, but that's to be expected. You have to have a certain level of control on how you deal with it.
Exactly. But again, like you said, from the fans' perspective, what would you rather go pay tickets to see in a cup race or any race, a late model race, U-car race, it doesn't matter. Would you rather see every single driver fighting for every single position all race long, tooth and nail, bumping and banging?
Yes, give me some more of that.
Or would you rather see a race like, it used to be back in the 90s for a little while there in the Cup Series and even on the local short track level where it was, okay, here you go. Oh, you can pass me as well. Oh, here you go, sir. Yeah. I'll get it back maybe later. You never get it back. It was just, oh, you're right there in front of me going for the win, but I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to actually try to race you for the win.
That sort of takes that term that, used to hear all the time, rubbing is racing. People have to remember as well, this is not open wheel racing. We are not Formula One. This is not IndyCar. And if they lose the aspect of men challenging, and women, challenging each other in stock cars, I mean, they lose what this sport is all about. Dale Jr. was talking about if they could lose their identity, if they lose the short track mentality. That is the short track mentality.
It is, and it kind of puts me in a box as well, because somebody might watch this and say, oh, you just like dirty driving, man. You just want to see a demolition derby. No, I want to see guys battle hard for the win.
Yes.
I have respect for guys like Mark Martin and guys like that. But then
David Pearson,
I want you to look at Mark Martin, though. Does he have championships?
No.
You have to get physical. I'm sorry. You have to get
Now, that's not to say anything bad on Mark Martin's
career,
I love
Mark Martin.
That's a decision a driver has to make. Do you want to win championships, or do you want to be known as the cleanest driver that ever raced?
Exactly.
You know, there's some merit in a driver that can win without touching anybody.
Of course.
But it's not going to happen much on a short track, and it shouldn't.
There used to be a time where it was, but in this day and age, you have to get physical. In the day of age, it's kind of ironic. In the day and age where people are complaining about people racing each other too hard, at the same time, it's the most aggressive era of racing I've ever seen in my life.
Speaking of that, and seeing what you want to see out of racing, South Boston Speedway, you know, we have to end with the last race that we attended, South Boston Speedway. I want you to go ahead and talk about that a little bit. And one thing that I'll say before you begin is that was a night, I mean, it's on social media, it seems a little dead on it. People take for granted South Boston sometimes because of, you know, the prestige of that track. But what happened on Saturday night is a pure example of what you want to see in short track racing.
Of course.
A huge win tonight, points-wise, over Peyton Sellers. You tried your best not to touch him. What a battle between you two.
Man, it was a tough battle, man. Peyton puts up a good battle every week, and it is not easy to win these races against him. Him and his crew got a great car, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to have anything for him, and I started moving my line around, trying to make up some room somewhere, and it finally just clicked off and started getting faster and faster, and Josh Yeoman really put a setup on this thing, and hopefully we can get him in the next race.
I don't even know how to describe that last lap. Tell me how you beat one of the best in the business, Peyton Sellers.
I gave it all I had, and we raced hard, and I was going to do whatever it took to win. I'm glad we didn't wreck. I wrecked myself afterwards, but I appreciate Lee Pulling Performance, went to my crew chief, Chad, my spotter, my dad, all the guys that helped to, you know, make this car go, to help me win. So appreciate all them.
Could you imagine it any other way, getting your first win here like this?
It's always interesting when we race. Something always happens, so it's kind of fitting we won like that.
15 lap features there. Johnny Lane won both of them, but you know, you hear Johnny Lane win a pure stock race. Oh, you know, big surprise. These didn't come easy at all.
No,
in the first race, B.J. Reeves gave him a fit at the end of that race. Crossover after crossover. It was great to see. So that's what really started the night right there. It, you know, it set the tone for what's going to be an amazing racing night. In the VSP Heat Hornets, though, now that race was, it had almost, like you said in the article, we almost named their article Anything and Everything.
Anything and Everything.
In this Hornet race, you had everything. You had crashes, you had fight, you had, you know, competitive racing, and, you know, at the end it came away with, you know, Cameron Goebel winning in dominant fashion, but at the same time, I mean, then there was the fight after the checkered flag.
Yeah, but so you know, South Boston has a good way of controlling. I mean, they get in there fast. But,
oh yeah, they're not going to let you go at it for long.
But you know, still the crowd was very excited after that event.
Now the one race here, the Budweiser Limited Sportsman, probably the tamest race of the night. Nathan Cruz took the whole field to the woodshed here.
I mean, you're stealing my term.
Well, I mean, there's no other better way to put it.
I mean, he really did. He took them out to the woodshed. The only thing he didn't do is make them pick the switch that, you know, or the board he was going to pound them with. But
at the beginning of the race, it seemed like, hey, this is going to be a close one, you know. But at the end, it was like Cruz was playing a game of how far can I really get away from these guys. And I mean, you could see him in the car. He was, you know, driving the heck out of that thing. But it was so bad at the point where people really thought, you know, people were coming up to us and saying, is that guy illegal?
Yeah, well,
but he
I can't, you know, that's a little off the cuff remarks or whatever, but let's just say that the officials let him know that they were going to look at that car as close as, you know, they mandate looking at cars. And the team, they said we're good, and they come away good.
They put on a heck of a performance that will never leave my mind. Probably the most dominant performance I've seen so far while covering
in a long time. You know, for that kind of division.
For that kind of division, a division that's known for its competitiveness.
Yeah.
But going into the main events of the night, we had twin 75-lap races for the Centera Healthcare late model stocks. Starting off with Carter Langley taking the huge victory in race number 1. The whole race was a chess match.
It really was. Yeah, and I think a lot of people didn't really realize. There's a reason I like to go down in the corners, and I tell you all the time, I can really watch and see what them guys are doing, and watching somebody like Peyton Sellers, on that level, is something else, and he is a master at setting the pace for a race,
especially at South Boston.
But Carter Langley is a student.
He followed in his footsteps.
I mean, that shows the respect that he has for Sellers. But midway through the race, I saw him go in and slip a little bit high. But then he did it 3 times in a row, and I said, well, he's not slipping high. And I sort of had an indication of what he was doing.
He's got purpose.
Sellers, I think, even thought that, hey, this guy's coming in here so hard, but I'm not giving him the inside. He's sweeping on the outside, sweeping on the outside. And then when the closing laps came, Carter went down low, at least for 1 or 2 laps. Yeah. I think it might have been 2, but he showed him the inside. And on the next lap, when Sellers went down to close that door, Carter went in there and he wasn't watching up outside. No. He was testing to see if his car would stick there. And coming out the corner, he went in there and he was beside Sellers, and then I said, oh boy.
Then a late race caution came out, which Langley was scored as the leader. Then we saw Langley actually take the outside. I think it was 2 or 3 lap shootout there. Took the outside. Me and you both were kind of looking at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a lot of confidence in the outside lane there.
That's a lot of cojones right there.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
But
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
On the restart, though, I mean, he just showed both of them had a very clean and heated battle.
Didn't he have to do it twice? Wasn't there 2 restarts?
No, it was just 1. It was almost 2 because the middle of the pack was a war
Oh,
zone.
yeah, that's right.
Middle of the pack was a war zone there, yeah. But Langley somehow hung on, and beating Peyton Sellers is one thing. It's already a big achievement. But at South Boston,
on the outside, without even, I don't think he touched him.
No, I don't.
They might have door banged a little bit,
but I mean, nothing like race number 2.
Yeah.
As if that was good. It can't get any better than that.
Right.
That's a lie.
Right, it can't get much better than that.
Race 2 saw G.R. Waldrip start on the pole alongside Aaron Donnelly. Unfortunately, Waldrip didn't get the race he wanted. He stayed in there in the top 5 for a long time, though, and got an actual decent finish. But, it was great to see him run up front. But the lucky guy on the draw here was Aaron Donnelly. And behind him, though, little did we notice, first of all, Carter Langley, terrible luck in race 2. Just couldn't get his car started. Stuck in the back of the pack the whole race. So hated to see that for him. But in the middle of the pack, we saw 2 men that we knew weren't really saving anything. Landon Pimbleton and Peyton Sellers, both teammates.
Raced each other as hard as you can imagine.
They weren't saving it. It was a big contrast to what race 1 Peyton Sellers did and what race 2 Peyton Sellers did, because he was going balls to the wall. And so was Pimbleton. Now, Pimbleton, he had a flat tire in race 1, so he was looking to redeem himself. But, like you said, Sellers racing teammates, it don't matter. You couldn't tell they were teammates. They were going door to door, nose to nose, tail to tail. And at the end there, Peyton Sellers got by Pimbleton, which set up Sellers versus Donnelly.
Yeah, once Sellers got free of Pimbleton, he walked Donnelly down to the point where I said, I don't know, but I don't think Aaron's going to be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, because he got up to a good gap, so you think, maybe he burned his tires off. And meanwhile, stalking them back there on Landon Pimbleton, that was Mike Looney.
Yeah, Looney
nobody was talking about.
Made a great run back up through there.
But then back up front, everybody's intuition happened. There's Peyton Sellers beside Donnelly. But Donnelly, I mean, I've seen him race before there, and I mean, he's a really good driver. But I saw something out of him that I haven't seen.
You know what you saw out of him was what we were talking about. How far do you go? How far do you take it to win? And I think Aaron Donnelly showed Sellers, and Sellers got the message that, hey, we'll wreck. I'm going to the very limit, and I'm going to do what it takes to win it. And even Sellers said after the race that he was wanting to rough me up more than I was going to rough him up, because if you get too deep in that kind of battle, you're going to come away with two, and then you've got Looney's coming. I mean, he could get involved in it too, but Looney's thinking, hey, if these guys take each other out, and so he was really closing in, but it didn't work out that way.
No, and I mean, Donnelly I don't think, to be honest with you, I might be wrong. I probably am wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But I don't think Donnelly would have raced that hard if it wasn't Peyton Sellers.
No, and see, that comes down to it. Carter Langley is such an improved driver.
He's not even the same driver that he was.
And when he won that race, you could see the emotion on his face.
I had tears in his eyes.
Aaron Donnelly, the part that we didn't mention, going for the win, they towed his, South Boston will tow your car to victory lane.
You're going to get that victory lane.
Whether, no matter what that car looks like, it's going to victory lane with you if you win. So I got to applaud him for that, But he was willing, and he did, go so fast at the end to try to win that race that he ended up in the outside wall after he crossed the line.
Well, what they say, either bring me home a trophy or bring me home the steering wheel. Well, Aaron Donnelly didn't get that message very clear because he brought home both. So.
And the reason was because it was such a big win for both of them guys because they beat Peyton Sellers.
They beat Peyton Sellers because, like we said in the article, I'm going to steal another thing from the article. It's like Ric Flair, to be the man, you have to beat the man. And at South Boston Speedway, Peyton Sellers is the man.
Yeah, no matter what anybody feels about it, and that's not a biased opinion, that's just a fact.
That's just a fact. I mean, look at the stats, look at these past few years. I mean, Peyton, there's one common denominator in everything, Peyton Sellers.
That's right.
There's this guy, Lane Riggs, Peyton Sellers. Carter Langley, Peyton Sellers.
Yeah, so that needs to be understood, that the reason that those two races were so exciting was because Peyton Sellers was involved in it. Mm-hmm. It was big for Carter, and it was big for Aaron because, hey, and Sellers was good with it at the end of the night. Nobody wants to lose, of course. But, hey, 2 second-place finishes comes away with 5 points lead.
I mean,
take that after the year that that's good, so competitive. You'll take that 5 points lead halfway into the season.
Yeah, especially after last year, how every point scenario that Sellers was in, whether that be South Boston or National, I mean, everything was tight. So, I mean, I know he realized before how important a good points day is, but now more than ever, he realizes that consistency is key.
Yeah, and there's another point to be made. See, I come from a different generation of racing, and you're the young generation fan of racing. Yeah. And to watch somebody like Sellers, who had learned from veterans before him, teaching a young driver like Carter Langley how to take it to the next level is special. And it should be noted. People are looking over it. They're taking it for granted. But what's going on at South Boston right now is a special thing, and it's like that through the whole short track region.
I completely agree. It's a passing of the torch of sorts between, the older generation and the newer generation. But the older generation isn't, they ain't giving any slack. Deke McCaskill won earlier this year.
No, and that's what, again, that's
Peyton Sellers. They're not going down easy.
It's like every generation teaches the younger generation, and now you have the most aggressive but talented racing that I've ever seen. And a lot of guys my age want to reminisce about the older days because those drivers were special, especially back in Cup when they had to really manhandle a car. But the competition level today, like Mark Martin said, it has never been better.
Never. All right, well, you could hear everybody was happy. Nathan Cruz was delighted at his dominant performance. Aaron Donnelly was, I still don't even think it sunk in at that point, so he didn't even realize where he really was there. crashed race car, but hey, I'm in victory lane, and I mean, it was just a phenomenal night.
And speaking of phenomenal nights, we got to move to the next race right now. We're still waiting on fan votes to come in for the first time ever. We let the fans pick where we're going this week, and so we'll see how it plays out. But I know one thing, it's going to be some good racing because this region produces great racing, and we're looking forward to wherever we go. And as always,
we'll see you at the track.